Give it up.
From 33 to World War II, they had no money, cash or food. Stock markets crashed and alcohol booms. The USA was set in doom.
So coming to the impacts and the events of the sports that took place during that time. So it is said that obviously the Great Depression had a huge impact on sports that time. So coming to the events, so in those years the cities were wondering, and they wanted to host in the US they wanted to host the 1932 Olympics, and they were planning to build a huge stadium that could accommodate around 1,05,000 people in the stadium, but they couldn't because of the Great Depression. So and in Los Angeles they couldn't host. So because of the Great Depression, so you can imagine, like, they had to stop all the projects of the stadiums. In 1933, grievance of years for baseball. So baseball was considered as the most important sport at that time for USA. So in baseball, the players their pay got cut by about 20-25%, but they were still lucky because they were being paid like more than twice the amount that the laborers at that time were getting paid. So they were still at the better position. So Jesse Owens winning the 4 gold medals in 1936 Olympics on the face of Hitler. That is also a big event that time that took place. Jesse Owens of USA that won 4 gold medals. So the Public Works Administration spent $40 million on athletic facilities. That's a huge amount, ladies and gentlemen. And between 35 and 1941, the WPA spent about $1 billion on various recreational and sports facilities. So you could imagine on the Great Depression, they could spend like $1 billion. And the football players were being paid about $100 per game, like that's it, like $100 per game at that time. And people were willing to pay for that just because they could get out of depression. So that the depression could be even more active at that point of time, and it could be, people could get away from the families and the financial strains that they have and revitalize themselves so that they could get back out from depression and they could still go inside and enjoy their lives that time. So you can imagine the boxing coming, so the boxing, low amounts of money to the boxers were paid. So people didn't want to bout because of the low amount that they were being paid. Come on, who would bout for low amounts of money at that time? So we had this famous boxing person that time, Joe, who bouted against this very famous German boxer, Max Schmeling. So he won 3 consecutive bouts against him, and it attracted around 70,000 people that time in the stadium to watch that match. So you can imagine like the amount of people spending on sports that time. Like they would still want to watch sports. That was the main. So quickly running through cut down of projects that I spoke about. They cut down the stadium back then. The unemployment went 25% up high. Affordability, people couldn't afford, still they were willing to spend on sports and they were want to watch sports. Commercialized, sports got totally commercialized. People wanted to make money out of everything that was there possible. Radio business went up because people were listening to, people couldn't go to the games and they would only listen to the radios. So they would get lives on the radios, whatever was happening. And yeah, these were the some events that time that took place. Next, music. In terms of music, because music was basically what makes people happy. That was what the Great Depression. That is how people basically fought the Great Depression back in the day. Music, movies, maybe that's what they all wanted. Very ironically speaking, people had no money, but arts and culture was actually thriving at the point of time. More out of necessity than luxury. So the booming market for Broadway musicals was developed and prospered during the extraordinary 1920s. Fell to the wayside with the crash of the stock market. So Broadway was going down, at the same time street music was coming up. And street music as we know it today as rock music, gospel music, jazz, blues, that's how it started back in the day. A welcome respite from the daily hardships. In the mid-1930s, jazz came close to becoming America's popular music under a new name called swing. So people wanted to dance, people wanted to have a good time, people wanted to have a little bit of swing, and have a good time, spend their earnings in the weekend, and just forget their worries and go back to work the next day, Monday, and again build up money for the next week. So on and so forth. 1932, just 10 million records sold in the US. 1939, 50 million. A whopping increase because people were slowly not only was America coming out of the depression, but at the same time, people were acknowledging this new wave of music that had come into America at the time.
Considering new dances, like I said, the Big Apple, Little Peach, the Shag and Suzy and dance that has started it all, which is now for Junior Bucket, and the scene and back in the day it was called Lindy Hop. Basically, you know, behind the basically because of the Lindy, who was a very famous jazz singer back in the day. She had basically created this dance form. As saxophonist Jerome described, I don't know Harry one time, so he was touring with this band back in the day, and this is what he had to do. I don't know Harry one time. I said, Harry, why do people get the money to come hear us? Because we have people come hear us. He says, you know, Jeff, to save the pennies for the weekend so they can get some beer and go out and pay whatever it costs to go to a dance with their wives or girls and some balls. Forget about the job and then after it's all over, start all over again. Get that money back. 930s, American taste in music changed dramatically. Sweet sound of jazzies, dance bands, rhythmically involved in aggressive modern arrangements like the singer picture here, or the swing era budget Bluebird line of recordings. So the Bluebird line at that point of time was like the definitive recording company out there, because all of the recording companies are founded in Hollywood dollars. Louis Armstrong, you know we got the soul instrumentalist. So Louis Armstrong is a personal god of mine. So he was, I don't know, I mean if you got Louis Armstrong, you know what type of person he is. He was just out of this world with his vocal qualities. Style, substance, and musical insight to American music. For example, a few names from the song that is from Are You Making Any Money? How damn fun. With plenty of money and you obviously what I can do. Gloomy Sunday. And Gloomy Sunday has a famous history. Gloomy Sunday is known to be the most famous song in the history of Western music because the maximum number of suicides. So it was rumored back in the day that there was some sort of a tonal quality. The song was bad eventually. The tonal quality of the song, apparently, according to rumor, made people mad and made them just go over the hill, drive over the hilltop, and so on and so forth. That is how Gloomy Sunday is known as. It's not known as a famous song, it's known as a song which you listen to commit suicide. Very ironic. I'm starting some traveling with the sole of my shoe. So back in the day, because the shoe companies had closed down, children back in the day used to go to school with cardboard soles in their shoes. So they didn't have the money to pay for new shoes, and neither shoe companies producing shoes. So they use cardboard soles. This is basically a reference to that. And last of all, songs. They complained of lost jobs and for circumstances. Brother, Can You Spare a Dime is the most famous song from back in the day. To raise people's spirits and give hope of better times. Life is just a bowl of cherries. Don't take it serious, it's too mysterious. Since it's all talking about hope, it's all talking about letting go of it. Where are the money? Old man depression wants to be done strong. So this was over-optimism back in the day. So just in the beginning of the 30s, they thought, okay, fine, depression maybe is going back, it's going down, it's being forgotten, we're getting happier times. So, that age of illusion, which briefly came in between, you have something like old man depression or through, you done us wrong. But, well, America was not yet through with depression. Federal Theatre Project and Federal Music Project were the depression era programs that the government started and initiated because they saw that this is how people can feel lively and feel happier. Early 30s, country blues, an unofficial word for the poor blacks, brutally honest chronicle of life at the bottom of society, like we saw in the previous names of songs. Depression blues is another very, very famous, the most famous blues song back in the day. And what is this? Run Little Children Run is basically one of the most famous Broadway musicals that was produced in the day, completely by the blacks. And it was done because at that point of time, Broadway tickets were sold at very cheap prices. Anybody and everybody could afford it. So that is how the blacks started. The blacks produced a musical, and this was the first ever black musical to ever come out. So this once, if I could tell my troubles, it may put this my poor hearties. If I could tell my troubles, it may put this my poor hearties. But depression's got me, somebody help me please. That's how they did the song. Simple, sweet, and fun. Art reflects nature, and what nature there was. Farmyards and suffering, they wrote like a rose.
When it comes to literature, they don't take, whereas music Depression, literature was more about art reflecting nature. They saw a lot more of the suffering was reflected in the books of the time. As you can see in our very first line, capitalist America was seen as a dying society. They could see that the capitalist society, they thought had failed. They felt that it was completely new, total, complete, from the scratch, revolutionary changes. And they focused on the lives of the poor and working class, had a sense of political engagement. So the real difference between literature and music is that literature is always meant for the elite, those who are politically and socially aware, whereas when you're already in the working class and you're in the midst of that depression, if I may use it in the colloquial term and not in the economic term, so then you want to be lifted up. Whereas if you're on the upper echelons, then you don't need that feeling of joy and hope. You already have a fairly settled life, but you need to be told, oh, this is how life really is. Which is where really the difference comes in between books and music. So if you look at all the books that will come out, John Doss, Passos's Big Money, Dark View, Pre-Crash Meta, Burma, Gossip, Labor Unrest, Wanted Ads, hit readers in a rushing stream. Those were the words used. And that is not a peaceful image, it's not an image of hope. It's an image of violence, and that is what the literature was really all about in this period. You have, on the other hand, you also have mass market books, where you have people talking about vampires and werewolves and chick lit. And there was one called The Werewolf of Paris, which was a 1933 bestseller. And that was a feeling of escapism. It is fantasy. Something that no one really, this is already a horrible situation. Let's face a different horrible situation and have a sense of catharsis at least. So, on the other hand, women who turn to chick lit. I think that most of us women here read chick lit, at least I certainly do. It's because it's fun, it's happy, and you have something to aspire to. You have plucky young women whose family fortunes have taken a nosedive, and then they come out of it. How do they come out of it? By their own strength, by their own steam, or maybe with the support of a wonderful man. So you have documentary realism to portray hardships that people experiences. You show people the faces of the suffering. You have seen their faces by Calder and Goldberg. You have seen their faces, you cannot pretend that they don't exist. The homeless do exist, the suffering, the starving, they do exist. You have to acknowledge them, even though you are on the upper surface of this bubble and you may not face it on a daily basis. You also have people who are struggling during the Great Depression, reading about people who are completely separate from them. Soldiers, colonial soldiers who are from way back in the day, from the 1800s. And they are completely separate from the immediate suffering of the 1930s. And that is something that you feel good about. You feel good to see other people facing trauma and getting out of it. So that is really what the literature was all about. The notion of, this is another aspect to it. You've seen capitalism, you've seen its, the reaction to it. You've seen that people can have a bubble that bursts and progress can completely fail. So then you have a different angle altogether, an earlier age of purity is the rural way of life. Then you have it, the simple rural way of life compared to the average industrial workers' life in the Depression era. You have disillusionment and cynicism, and that's the contrast that they were developing. You also have William Faulkner developing in this period. Southern life was a big deal, as Gone with the Wind, as I mentioned. So this was something that was really lovely because Southern lifestyle again was something that is totally different from the immediate industrial wasteland almost that modern America had become. And so it was good to go back to those times. There were those two clear different aspects of literature. One was the elite felt as the tragedy of people who are suffering, and the other was the escapists, the mass market, who were looking at fantasy and people totally separate from who they were.
Times were hard and poverty was rife, and still drove fashion the spice of life. Times were hard and poverty was rife, and still drove fashion the spice of life. The spurs drove fashion, the spurs drove fashion, the spurs drove fashion, the spurs drove fashion.
Alright, so coming to fashion here, people had this escapist attitude during the Great Depression. They did not have a penny in their pocket, but they wanted to dream about the world. They would look at the people, the actors and actresses on the silver screens, get inspired by what they're wearing, and they just wanted that, okay, we have houses with leaking roofs, but we can yet believe that, okay, we can dress like our favorite movie stars. Fashion was something that was really booming at that time. So the Sears Ruben catalog is basically what it used to do. It used to make imitation clothing of what the actors and actresses used to wear on the silver screen. And also the women, they used to like going to the movies at that time and sewing their own clothes, like watching the women actors on the silver screen and sewing their own clothes and making what they like to wear. So during this time, it was like the women, they started, getting into the workforce. They started trying to get out there and, contribute to the family. And what they used to, like, there were many fabrics that came into that time, came into being that time. So the 1920s used a fabric which is of better quality, but 1930s they did not have that much of money to spend on their clothing, but they yet wanted to look classy, they yet wanted to dress up in a manner that they like, that was like, oh, like people would be, wow. So yeah, this is a gown that a middle class woman could no longer expect to purchase. Like this was basically Charles Friedrich Worth. He was the father of haute couture, and he designed this gown. So a woman who's a middle class woman, she could not afford such a gown, but she would yet try to, she could admire that, okay, I would still want such a gown. And this paradox, like glamour in the clothes and what people want to wear, it became more important in the 30s. Because people wanted to escape from that sad life they were living. They wanted to dress up in that manner that they could really look gorgeous and go out there. So yeah, Hollywood, it really made these movies that they were really dazzling and all glamorous movies, so that they could help them. Such movies would really work that time. So they made such kind of movies, and that would really affect the people's choices to buy such kind of clothing. Like Gone with the Wind was one very famous movie that time, in which the dress worn by Vivian Leigh in a picnic scene in Gone with the Wind, that time it was the era's most popular and most publicized dress, and people would all aspire to wear that dress. Women would start sewing that dress if they had to, but they would yet want that kind of dress. And okay, so George Orwell, he wrote in the 37 that one thing since the war made the greatest depression in otherwise dreary outlook of depression era youth was the movies. The girl who leaves school and gets a dead-end job can still look a fashionable play for a pittance. You may have pennies in your pocket and not a prospect in the world, and only the corner of a leaky bedroom to go home to, but in your clothes, you can stand on the street corner, indulging the private daydream of yourself as Melanie Dietrich. So she was a very famous actress that time. So George Orwell, he written Animal Farmers, and one of the most famous authors that time, he said something about fashion. So these were the different designs of skirts that people, or the women, they wore that time. So she could either, a woman could ideally go purchase a low price dress like this in a Sears catalog shop, or she could stitch it herself. So these are all the various dresses. Okay, so yeah, here goes our rap for women's rights. 1, 2, 3, go. Women at the vote, they could walk outdoors. Yeah, that won't do. They need to smoke. Women at the vote, they could walk outdoors. Yeah, that won't do. They
that wasn't really enough. Women were allowed to work out of their homes, but again that wasn't enough because there weren't enough jobs in the Great Depression to go around. So that is where the 1932 Economy Act came in with section 213, which said that married women are not allowed to work if their husbands and both husband and wife have a job in a federal government, then they cannot both hold the job. And that, being the case, and society being society, it was always the married woman who had to stay at home. So by October 1933, 1,900 federal employees had to leave because of this section. Of them, 3/4 were women. 75% of the couples, the women had to stay at home because of this act. Now, 6 years later, the section was repealed, but only 0.1% of the women were given their jobs back. This is because they had already got a feeling, the public sector had already got a sense that married women are not a safe place to, are not a safe person to hire. It doesn't work because what if this happens again? What if they're simply not good enough? You have, there was a sense somehow that the homeless woman is a myth. I'm not entirely sure how this was, but apparently this is the only photograph that has survived from the Great Depression era which shows a homeless woman. All the others photographs known as the migrant. Yes. Yes. So it's the migrant mother by Dorothea Land. She's the one who took the photo in 1936. So other than this, we have some most prolific. Yes. It's a beautiful photo because you can see the fact that she has family, she has people to support. It's not like she is alone, she's alone in this. Because when you look at pictures of homeless men who are projected, they're all alone. They're standing in queues for work, or they're sitting around the fire. There are never any women, there are never any children, there are no signs of dependence. Which perhaps is simply a sign of bad photography, but surely not in every photographer in the 30s could have missed that out completely. It seems unlikely. Of the unemployed people in Washington DC, 43% were women. Of that 43%, 60% were unmarried women who had been employed before the crash. So you found that a lot of women lost their jobs more than men. So that is probably something that should be expected, but to this extent, I did not expect. 85% of women in New York City, 85% were unemployed after the crash. Then finally, in 1933, there was an act which gave financial relief to the homeless women to seek refuge in city shelter, which made things a little better. After point 1930, 11.7% of married women held jobs. In 1940, 40% of women, married working women, existed in the middle class. The reason for this is probably that they found that they could pay women a little less than men. So they found it was economically viable to hire women. So during the Depression, there were married women working, even after all the situation that was developed because of Section 213. But even that being the case, the family is not exactly supportive in most cases of the women going out to work. So, but divorce was expensive. You had men who could not support the family, who were not comfortable with their wives going out to work because that hurt their ego. And they had children, they had people to support, and they were beautiful.
Somebody said that the women will have to stay at home so the men will be like men.
Yes, let's say. And that's again. So,
and the kind of gender discrimination started with the women.
yes, that's right. We have last seen in the 80 cents.
Marxist.
Exactly. It was a mindset that was created, and it was never broken. Because there's no need to break it, because once it exists, there needs to be some shock to the system to break the mindset. So divorce was expensive, so divorce rates fell. But cheap divorces or informal divorces of the husband simply abandoning the family were none. So women had to support their own children, which is where you have the migrant mother standing alone with 3 children and unable to support them. The number of marriages also reduced because while divorce was expensive, a wedding is also expensive. And many couples never actually got married at all because they simply couldn't afford it.
Thanks to some
It was
women.
fine. Okay, folks.
30 minutes.
Thank you, my dear. I will give it back.
So coming to the movies part, which was one of the most escapist thing you can say at that point of Great Depression, because everyone was losing jobs over there, and this was something which people can afford to go and watch a movie. And so does the Hollywood saw an opportunity over there that they can make people, they can empathize what people can feel, and they can make movies on their part.
Yes, I did.
So it was not that Great Depression was not having an impact on the Hollywood industry, because this weekly attendance was 60 million people, whereas the average was 90 million people a week. But then it recovered soon, because Hollywood saw the opportunity of capitalizing on the fact that people are depressed and they should make movies which are more targeted towards making people happy. So some of the movies which came up at that point of time was the Walt Disney 3 Kings. That was one of the famous which came up at that point of time. Also one innovation which came up at that point of time was the introduction of sound in the movies. So that was a real good thing, because people enjoyed when they were watching a movie with the sound. And comedy is also quite popular at that point of time, and towards the late 1990s, movies from other countries also began to play in American theatre. Some of the quotes which were given by President Roosevelt said that during the Depression, the spirit of the people is lower than at any other time. It is a splendid thing that for just 15 cents an American can go to a movie and look at the smiling face of a baby and avoid his troubles. So this was one of the so this impact was there everywhere in America, and also President felt that yes, Hollywood is doing something to at least make people happy.